Fans, it's Wardy here, and we're back at it with our latest live edition of our Metropolitan Postgame segment as the New York Mets, headlined by, yes, you guessed it, Bichette, help lead the way to a 4-2 victory tonight to kickstart a 3-game set in St. Louis against those Cardinals. Get those W's spam in the live chat right here, right now. We got a lot of positives to break down in Mets land. Not only did Bichette do his thing from an offensive standpoint, he also wasn't liability defensively either. Color me shocked. 4 games into the season, the guy you're throwing $42 million a year at actually is competent and knows what he's doing. Who would have fathomed such a thing? We're going to get into not only Bichette's greatness from today's big matchup, Francisco Lindor showing that the ham ain't bone maybe was the problem all along for him getting off to a hot start to begin his season. Juan Soto doing his thing, Jorge Polanco dealing with an Achilles injury, and it still doesn't matter. He's a dog at the plate. Brett Baty doing his thing. 1-9, a lot of deep dive from a lot of positives offensively and pitching-wise tonight. Clay Holmes going a rock-solid just under 6 innings of work for the Mets. Would have loved a full 6, but great to see him have a quality outing. Awesome to see Devin Williams secure his first save as a New York Met, everybody. So spam that like and subscribe button on your way, and let's get the hype going. Let's get the vibes going. How are we feeling this evening, everybody? Thank you all so much for chiming in. We're going to get into the pitching takeaways. As you guys and gals can see here again, Clay Holmes wasn't sexy, but he was okay, and that's more than fine. Tobias Myers, Brooks Raley, Devin Williams, Bulldog. Not at all surprised to see that on the hitting end. We're going to see 1-9. This is how the lineup ended. This is not how the ball game began. We'll get into all the pros and cons on that front here shortly, everybody. The Mets were able to get just enough offense going against Leahy and this Cardinals pitching staff to secure the Game 1 victory. But folks, as we do after every big victory throughout the course of the 162, before we get to donations, comments, questions, and concerns, let's let it rip with the one, the only, the official WardyNYM post-game jingle, baby. Let's do this. 3rd time already this season in 4 tries. We'll take that. We'll gladly take that. Let's go.
Postgame. Postgame. Calling all Met fans, come and join us now. Talking about this game and gonna break it down. It's Mets Postgame.
Shout out to Greg and Jordan, as always, with the official WardyNYM Metropolitan post-game jingle after every big victory. We got to let it rip. Whether you think it's corny, however you feel about it, it's here to stay. We love it, and we're having ourselves a time here on this gorgeous, amazing Monday night, March 30th, right before April begins. The Mets are 3-1 to begin the season. They're doing something right. We got a lot of our amazing members in here. We got Broken Jester, Steve, Dave, Chad, Rebecca, how you doing? Ryan, how you doing? Going up the list here. I know we got some donations. BG with the $2 jingle time. Where's Mr. Chicken? I know. Thank you for the donation. We got Juliet in here. Great member as always. We got Nick, great member. Our guy Dave Kaplitz. Dave, thank you so much for the hoodie. For those that don't know, Dave sends things my way all the time. He sent me a really awesome Juan Soto photo that's going to go on my wall, my new spot that I'm going to be moving to this week. And he also sent me this awesome Mets hoodie with Juan Soto embroidered on it, and it has Mets on the sleeve. Absolutely gas. Thank you so much, Dave. Love you so much, my friend. I really appreciate that. Mad Team Parents, as always, thank you so much for being here, my friend. I appreciate that. Steve, great member, 21 months. Outside of Lovelady, this is a good bullpen. Yeah, so far, so good. And with the exception of him and a little bit of there and Luis Garcia, we got an upgraded member. Thank you so much, Nick, for upgrading your membership. I appreciate that a lot, too, my friend. Happy to have you in here. Let's go down the list. Let's see what you guys got. SR with the $2 haul says, Bo knows baseball. Yes, he does. Again, who could fathom such a thing? Apparently, Bo Bichette, after hearing the boo birds yesterday, saying to the media himself, I would have booed myself too. I didn't look good. My at-bats have been putrid. Bo Bichette falling on the ground today and driving in runs. Listen, whatever works, whatever you need to do to have success with the Mets is fine by me, Bo. Just continue to produce. That's all we could possibly ask for. Tito, great member. Thank you so much as always. And again, Dave, love you, my friend. I appreciate you guys and gals. 2 quick things that we got to get into before we break down this entire ball game for each and every one of you. 1, check out our amazing sponsor in case you guys haven't already, that being at SeatGeek, that has you covered for all of your ticketing needs. Just use the promo code WARDY10 today. Head into SeatGeek app. purchase a ticket that's great on the ratings, 7 through 10 range, preferably in the green, and it's a great bang for your buck, everybody. So whether you need it for Mets regular season tickets or anything in the sports or entertainment space, look no further. You want to save some dough? Use your guy Wardy's promo code WARDY10 for 10% off your next ticket purchase. Wardy10, link down below. Thank you for hearing me out there, and also thank you guys kindly for hearing me out about our amazing Wardy Day. 2026 Wardy Day, everybody. Tickets are now live and available in the description down below. You want to hang out with yours truly at a ball game? We sold out with our first ever annual Wardy Day in 2025, right after the trade deadline last year. I had all you amazing Mets fans there, and what do you get? You get awesome perks. Pre-game on-field access for a group photo with yours truly. You're going to have open bar from pre-game until they stop serving at the stadium. You also are going to get exclusive merch from yours truly with our Wardy Day logo on the front and on the back. You also are going to get an $18 food/merch voucher that you can use at any part of Citi Field and much more. So if you guys are interested in that and hang out with your guy Wardy, an exclusive left field lounge, which is not standardized seating, so you can get up and move around and have a blast and jump for joy and scream profanities, whatever you want to do, you can go ahead and do that there at Wardy Day with yours truly. June 12th, Mets versus Braves. Tickets now available in the description down below. Get them while they last, because we're not going to have them for long. We sold out last year. We are 100% going to sell out this year. I already have a bunch that are being claimed at this very moment. If you guys want first dibs, get them while they now still last. Then thank you guys kindly for checking that out. Now, folks, let's hop right into this, and let me ask you first and foremost the new thoughts. Okay. Sorry, I got to ask you right away. Initial reaction. Who is your player of the game today? Let's start with that, okay? Because Wardy's player of the game today, of course, has to be Bichette. How can it not be Bichette? After responding the way that he did to Mets fans and also responding with production both offensively and defensively, that's all Mets fans are looking for, especially the ones that froze their little butts off there at Citi Field the last couple days just to see the Mets offense be anemic, see Bichette have his worst series of his career, striking out a whopping 8 times. Bichette has never struck out that much in a single series in his entire career. He was at least 1 for 10, if not 1 for 14. There was not a lot to love about him, but today he stepped up mightily, and not only did he step up, the Mets pitching stepped up, as Clay Holmes most certainly kept the Mets in this ball game. Alexis, thank you so much for the $2 holla. All we have to do is Bo Live. Love to see it. Believe more like Bo Live, baby. We'll take that. Let's get into this. Let's break down this ball game, shall we? Because the Mets game started early and often with the offense. Francisco Lindor, who recorded his first triple of the season yesterday, records his second as many days today. Lindor slides into third comfortably to put the Mets right in scoring position where, yes, you guessed it, Bichette drives in the first run of the day. And Bo drove in a run similar to how he drove in a run for the Mets that we saw on opening day. It wasn't a sac fly, but it was a ground out and it got the job done. In comes Lindor. The Mets are quickly up 1-0 in this ball game. Polanco would ground out, but guys, Jorge Polanco had some damn good at-bats today. Again, every single game he's played thus far, I've been impressed. Even when he didn't record a hit yesterday, I really wasn't fazed by it because he had 5 walks in the series itself. Jorge Polanco is an effing gamer. It is awesome to see the early success he's having with this Mets team. And as Carlos Mendoza announced pregame today, he's doing this while dealing with a bit of a nagging Achilles. Not something to be overly worried by, but I do just find it kind of funny and ironic how Carlos Mendoza won't pitch Brooks Raley in back-to-back days after having an 11-pitch outing on Saturday, but he's comfortable to allow Polanco to still start at DH today and work the bases the way that he did when there's a higher chance of him hurting his Achilles because he's been dealing with a nagging Achilles. I don't care if it's minuscule. Why is it that a batter needs to be approached in a manner where, okay, well, if you're good enough, you're going to go out there, but for a pitcher who is well removed from Tommy John, he pitched in 30 effing games last year, that being in Brooks Raley, post-Tommy John surgery, but he can't pitch on back-to-back days in a tied ball game in extra innings, and we have to rely on Dickie effing Lovelady, who will inevitably be DFA'd in the coming days. Tell me how that makes sense. Great question. Simply, you can't tell me how it makes sense because there's nothing to justify it. I don't care what they say. I saw articles that came out from SNY today as well try to justify the action by Mendoza because they weren't available from the start. It does not matter. It's a terrible look. Oh, you have Devin Williams that isn't available because he warmed up on Thursday even though you had an off day on Friday? I understand it's early in the season. You're not trying to hurt your arms, but let's not act like Brooks really threw 20 pitches on Saturday. He threw a quick 11-pitch inning Today would have been a lot more justified if he's not going to pitch the following day because he threw 17 pitches at least today, if not 18. I digress. I'm not here to complain. I'm here to talk about the good. And the good was the Mets taking game one of this 3-game set. And as we got to the bottom of the first, J.J. Weatherholt, who is absolutely fantastic prospect to watch this year, if you're interested in the Rookie of the Year voting, he gets on with a leadoff walk. Ivan Herrera would ground out after what was a really nice play at third base that we saw by Bichette right away, working that glove, firing it there, all full cylinders, first without a problem. Alec Burleson, we would see while he was batting, Weatherholt would advance on a balk. It was a questionable balk. Clay Holmes was pissed off about it. Mendy was going out there to defend him, but thankfully it didn't hurt the Mets too much. It just hurt them immediately, however, because Alec Burleson, who is kind of crazy, I can't believe I'm saying this, the biggest veteran on this Cardinals team. He's only 27 years of age. I'm pretty sure he's the oldest guy in their lineup right now. He would rip a single to right to Brett Beatty, who got the start in right today. Carson Menj got the rare start in center while Luis Roberts started the game off the bench. He began the day with an off day, came in later on as a pinch runner and did get an at-bat in there, but the Mets doing exactly what they said they'd be doing this year. There will be games where Robert gets an off day after playing 3 consecutive days, the way that we just saw, and then you're going to see Bench slot into center. You're going to have Beatty in right because Beatty's so good defensively everywhere he plays that he's still an upgrade for you, both offensively and defensively, over see Tyrone Taylor in that position. And Jared Young got the rare start at first base today because A, you didn't want a guy like Jorge Polanco to play that position, dealing with an nagging injury. You'd rather have him at DH. And 2, as good as Mark Vientos was for the Mets on a clutch hit the other night, what's also true is that Jared Young was a far better profile lefty-righty matching up against Leahy based on splits, and Young is a better defensive first base option than Vientos because Vientos has not shown any value positively at defense at first yet. And Jared Young showed his value with the bat today that we'll get into here shortly quietly. He had himself a good day today, Jared Young. But after this would be a tied ball game 1-1. Back-to-back strikeouts on Mason Wynn and Nolan Gorman, and that strikeout on Gorman was that nasty change up there. The nice little kick change by Clay Holmes got the job done to get out of it, still tied ball game. In the second inning, we saw with 2 outs after Beatty and Young do nothing, Marcus Semien works his 2-out walk for Carson Bench, who records his second hit of his career. And not only does Bench record a hit, he would go on to steal his second base of his career. So shout out to Carson Bench for being effective, especially his hit was on a curveball well below the knee that he just golfed and got it, and he hit that roughly 105 off the bat. So for a golf swing, good job there by Benj. We'll take that. Unfortunately, Alvarez struck out, but it was encouraging to see Benj get up with the offense early in this ball game. Wasn't swinging through his shoes the way that we saw the first couple games against the Pirates. In the bottom of the second, Jordan Walker gets on with a single. He's been off to a really good start this year when he's typically a guy where you don't know what you're getting offensively from him to begin his young career. Pedro Pajes came on and he got himself a ground out, right back to Clay Holmes, and then Victor Scott struck out. So thankfully, clean inning to work there for Clay Holmes after dealing with a little bit of a jam there that we saw in the first. In the top of the third, we would see Juan Soto with his latest hit. He has now recorded a hit in every single game he has been a part of for the Mets so far this season. Hit that like and subscribe button on your way, and everybody, let us know your thoughts, reactions, and analysis to the New York Mets taking down the St. Louis Cardinals this evening by a final score of 4-2. Bichette would get into a double play, but that would essentially be his worst at-bat of the day, which is obviously a great sign. We get to the bottom of the third with 2 outs after a quick work on J.J. Weatherholt and Ivan Herrera. We would see a double by Alec Burleson, torching Clay Holmes. And what was I telling you guys in our Big Mets Updates video earlier today? It's going to be notable to see how Mets pitchers face lefties versus righties depending on their handedness. You know, from that first series, we saw David Peterson give up a lot of contact that we saw to righties. We saw Freddie Peralta give up more contact to lefties to an opponent batting average of over 300. We also saw Noel McLean give up plenty contact to lefties while giving up nothing to righties. Clay Holmes today, who's the first guy to bite him in the you-know-what? It is, of course, Alec Burleson smoking the baseball the way that he was, so something to bear in mind. Mason Wynn got on with a walk thereafter, but then thankfully Gorman would ground out, and we would see Clay Holmes escape his own mess there without a problem. 2 on, 2 out, no issue. Jorge Polanco would lead off the next inning there that we would see in the fourth with a ground roll double that you'd love to see right down the right field line. line. Absolutely love to see Jorge Polanco's doing his thing early in this game. We would see nothing else happen that inning as Beatty, Jared Young, and Marcus Semien would go down, but nice at bat there from Polanco nonetheless. We get to the bottom of the fourth inning. The bottom of the fourth, Jordan Walker gets on with a leadoff walk, but that's all she wrote. Why? Because Nathan Church flies out and Pedro Baez grounds into an inning-ending double play. Great job by the Mets infield. In the fifth, we would see Carson Bench smoke his second hit of the day. This would be to opposite field that we would see at 107. So say what you will about Carson Bench hitting for opposite field as much as he is. And Drew, have a fantastic night, my friend. I appreciate you chiming in. While he has been hitting oppo plenty, he's hitting oppo with authority. This is not like Bench just smoking a bunch of little bloopies oppo where he's hitting them like 70 miles per hour. No, this was 107 comfortably off the bat on a four-seam fastball dotted by Leahy. Just caught too much plate and Bench made him pay. So Bench is on. Then after Alvarez pops out, Lindor will work a nice quality walk to have two on, less than two out for Juan Soto, who would ground into a force out, setting the table for Bo Bichette. And what does Bo Bichette do? Bo Bichette saws off one, 2 outs, opposite field, falling down in the process to drive in a pair of runs. I mean, if that isn't Bo Bichette, I don't know what is. And there's a reason, again, why I'm unbelievably confident that Bo Bichette will A, have 100-plus RBIs for the Mets this season, and B, lead the Mets with runners in scoring position. Bo Bichette's MO throughout his entire career has been smoking baseballs all over the place, spreading that thing on the field, doing it specifically with 2 outs and runners on. That's what makes Bo so effective. That's why the Mets spend an absurd amount of money AAV on for him. It's not for his elite defense at third because you know you're not getting that. He's a bat first player and he's going to help protect guys like Soto and Lindor ahead of him here and the order in this Mets 1 through 9. Bichette was literally to a T exactly how you need him to be. Look at him falling down and still making this happen. It's hilarious, but it works, so I'm not going to complain about it. So Bo Bichette does his thing. That makes it a 2-1 Mets lead with that opposite field hit driving it in a pair. Polanco would ground out, but not before the Mets get up 2-1. In the bottom of the fifth, we would see a clean inning to work for Clay Holmes, a 1-2-3 for Clay. Victor Scott would strike out swinging, them back-to-back groundouts on Weatherholt, and Herrera does it for Clay. We get to the sixth inning. Brett Beatty leads off with a single, and Jared Young drives him in. Back-to-back lefty batters for Leahy become a problem. We would see Young absolutely smoke a baseball into the right center gap. Quality hitting by Mr. Young, who hit it roughly 114 miles per hour for his first RBI and double of the season. That gave the Mets a little nice insurance cushion as they would be up 3-1 at that point in the ball game. Marcus Semien then would strike out facing Matt Swanson, and shout out Swanson, who went to Lehigh for college, and as someone who resides in Pennsylvania, I respect that. But while I was watching the game with my dad, I said to him, while Swanson is a great story, I hope the Mets absolutely kick his teeth in. And while they didn't kick his teeth in this one, unfortunately, they were able to work some counts, which was important, because after we would see a call in the field was confirmed, Alvarez would get on with a walk, after we would see a challenge there with Pedro Pages challenging if it was a ball or a strike. Thankfully for the Mets, it was a ball. Alvarez, with the elite eye at the plate as a catcher, works his walk, which then sets the table for Francisco Lindor, who gets on with a hit by pitch. So it's bases loaded against Swanson, and then here's Juan Soto doing what Juan Soto does. If Soto doesn't drive in a run with the bat, he's going to drive in a run with his elite eye, and he does exactly that as he gets on there with a walk, and that would make it 4-1 here, setting the stage for Bo Bichette. And Bo would line out, but it was great to see the Mets get even more insurance at this point in the ball game, up 3 runs, 4-1 as we get to the bottom of the sixth. And this is where we would see the end of Clay Holmes' day. With 2 outs on Burleson and Mason Wynn, Nolan Gorman smokes one off of Clay Holmes for his second home run of the year to center right. And that would be 110 off the bat. And that was a no-doubter, roughly 420 feet. So give credit where credit's due. That would be it for Clay Holmes' final line as Tobias Myers comes in and gets Jordan Walker for the final out in the inning. But everybody, give, again, a huge tip of the cap to what we saw from Clay Holmes today. He did his job, and that's what you want most, right? Clay gives you 5.2 innings of 4 hit, 2 earned run, 3 walk, 5 strikeout ball, right around a 3.18 ERA rate to begin the season. Not going to complain there. And when we break down more about what was working with Clay Holmes today, again, he was throwing the kitchen sink. So he had that sinker that he threw 42% of the time, sitting right around 94, the same as last year. The good thing about Mr. Clay Holmes today is that all of his pitches was there, the velocity, including the slider that was roughly 3 miles per hour higher than his yearly average last year. That slider slider he threw just 14% of the time, but sat 88 on it, where last year he sat around 85. Good to see. The changeup at 20% that he threw was sitting right around 89 to 90. The sweeper at 17% was right around 82. The curveball at 6% was around 82, and the cutter at 1% was right around 89. So Clay Holmes, everybody, giving the Mets strong, roughly 6 innings of 2 earned run baseball with 5 strikeouts, did walk 3. I am going to give Clay Holmes today a final line of a rock-solid 7 out of 10. I thought he kept the Mets in this entire ball game. I was really happy to see that. And it's also encouraging to see Clay Holmes go out there and, again, get out of his own jams unscathed. You know, with the exception of that home run that he gave up before his day was done, Clay was cruising for the most part, and I think he really deserves that credit. So I'm going 7 out of 10 for my Wardy's grade of the day on Clay Holmes, and I would love to hear from you guys in the live chat and to our replay viewers down below. How would you grade Clay Holmes' final line today on a scale of 1 to 10? Again, I'm going with a 7 out of 10. And for context, the best grade that I've given to a starter so far this season was 7.5. I don't think I've gone to an 8 yet with a pitcher. 7.5 is where I think we peaked thus far with David Peterson, because Peterson, I think, had his shutty outing of at least 5 innings for the Mets. So I think I gave him 7.5, so I'm going 7 here for Clay Holmes. You guys let me know your thoughts about that, because as we hop back to the main slide here, let's break down more as to what transpired in this ball game, because as we get to the 7th inning, Jorge Polanco, for another inning, leads off with a hit. This time it's not a double, but he's rocking a single this time that he smokes to Jordan Walker, and this was hit. Again, not all that hard. Again, we'll take it. It was a little bit of a dunk at 80 miles per hour, but that's fine. Brett Beatty strikes out after the fact. Jared Young would then ground into a force out, and here comes Luis Robert, a pinch run for Jared Young, and he would be in for the remainder of the game. Marcus Semien strikes out swinging as we then head to the bottom of the 7th. And in the bottom of the 7th, we would see there Nathan Church would be called out on strikes, and beautifully dotted there by Mr. Tobias Myers. Pedro Pais was strikeout swinging. Nasty work there on a gorgeous splitty that just got him tied up a little inside. And then Victor Scott strikes out. So striking out the side is Tobias Myers in this one, who gets a nice swing and miss on a beautifully painted four-seam fastball down and in on Victor Scott for the final out of the inning. Setting the stage for the 8th inning, where, as we would see after a Carson Medja lineout, Francisco Alvarez would get on with his first double of the year. Alvy has 3 hits so far this season, 2 of which are extra bases. One's a double, one's a home run. We love to see that. Hopefully the power continues for Alvarez, as this was a double down the third baseline that we saw. Very good hitting by him. Lindor would have fly out, and then we would see an intentional walk to Juan Soto for Bo Bichette, and typically that's not a smart thing because Bo's going to make you pay. He didn't this time. He grounded out, so smart play by the Cardinals, but not a smart play in many scenarios throughout the course of the season. In the bottom of the 8th inning, we would see one out Ivan Herrera gets on with a single off of Brooks Raley, but you know Brooks Raley ain't going to give up Jack because he's Brooks mother effing Raley. That's why. He's all reliable for a reason. Cue the spatula all reliable clicking box and open from the old school SpongeBob episode to my OGs out there that know that reference. Burleson and win with outs, and that does a Brooks Raley. Works north of 20 pitches in the 8th, but is able to get out of that jam unscathed. In the 9th inning, we would see Luis Robert ground out for the final out after Beatty and Polanco do nothing. Devin Williams comes in, and Devin Williams shuts the door. He gets a pop out on Gorman, a pop out on Jordan Walker, and Nathan Church swing and miss. See it, buddy, you're out of here. He gets him to bite on one of the nastiest changeups in all Major League Baseball, and that does it. Devin Williams secures his first save of the season as a New York Mets reliever. The Mets out-hit the St. Louis Cardinals in this matchup 10-5, and were they cheap hits? Was it worthy? Well, as we look at the expected batting average, the Mets had an expected batting average today of 318 to a measly 200 for the Cardinals. So the Mets were not only hitting early and often, but they had quality hits and quality grinded out at bats today. Can I get a Brooks Raley jersey? Sure, go ahead and buy one, my friend. That's the response to that. We will be doing a jersey giveaway of Carson Bench, Bo Bichette, and Freddie Peralta this week, probably either tomorrow or potentially for the day game, depending as to what happens the next couple days. So make sure you guys are chiming into our post-game show to get access for that as a further thank you for 38,000 subscribers, our latest milestone on the goal on the channel. And once we get a 40K, we'll be doing a massive giveaway, more than just a jersey. So I'm looking forward to once we do that as well. But as we now get into a little bit more on the numbers today, everybody, let's just get into where the Mets hitters now stand. Lindor 1 for 3 day with the triple. He's now batting .214 with a .950 OPS. Juan Soto 1 for 3. We saw with the RBI and a pair of walks. He had a very good day at the plate today. Shout out Juan. 353 average, 862 OPS. Bo Bichette, Bo looking great. Again, 1 hit is all the Mets needed. A pair of RBIs, 105 average and a 205 OPS, but that's okay. Bo's being productive. Jorge Polanco, 2 for 5 there with the double, 200 average, 667 OPS, but don't let the numbers fool you. He's had some really quality at-bats, some of the best so far by Mets hitters this season. Brett Beatty, 1 for 5 with the run scored, 278 average, 667 OPS. Luis Robert Jr. came in for Jared Young, who has a 200 average, 600 OPS after his RBI double into the gap. Robert, 417 average, 1200 OPS. He's a dog. Marcus Semien, 0 for today, 143 average, 449 OPS. Carson Bench, 2 for 4 with the run scored, 214 average, 742 OPS. And Francisco El Troll Alvarez, 1 for 3 with the double, now at 333 on the average and at just under 1300 OPS. So shout out to the Mets offense today. If I had to give the Mets a grade offensively today, as we take a look at how they fared with runners in scoring position, they went 1 for 14 and left 11 on base. So as much as I'm happy to see the Mets have 10 hits today, the runner's scoring position approach was absolutely putrid. I'm going to give the Mets a 5.5 out of 10 from their offense because, again, wasn't the worst thing. It was above average today. Always encouraged to have at least 4 runs. I'm not complaining about that, but obviously a lot more work to be done here. I'm going 5.5 out of 10, and collectively for the Mets pitching staff today, I gave a 7 out of 10 for Clay Holmes, but between Tobias Myers, Brooks Raley, and Mr. Devin Williams doing their thing, of course I have to give Mets pitching collectively today, allowing just 2 earned runs out of 9 innings. That's a rock solid 8.5 out of 10. Okay, Mets pitching did their thing today, and they're going to be even better than this, so that's why I'm not shooting to the stars with, say, a 10 grade, but I would love to know your thoughts about what you saw from both offensively, defensively, and pitching-wise from the New York Mets in this matchup. If you had to give a 1 through 10 grade of a range for those respective areas, please let me know what it would be and why. And as we get into post-game remarks, because those are always notable, especially Bo Bichette has any key quotes for us to break down in real time, let's go ahead and check what SNY and see if there is anything for us to get into that I think we should share. We see Carlos Mendoza talking about the Mets' approach today. I was pleased with the at-bats, and I agree. The at-bats were solid today. Just want to do better with runners on. Mendoza reacts to Bo Bichette's play tonight. Not surprised. I thought he was more under control, not trying to do too much, and that would be true from the way that we saw him. Clay Holmes attributed his high pitch count in the first 3 innings to being excited for the first start of the season. You know what, Clay? If that's the reason, all power to you, because I'll be completely honest, I was not happy to see Clay Holmes work the first inning of north of 30 pitches the way that he was. It was like, okay, Noel McLean had a 24-pitch inning yesterday in the first. Why is Clay Holmes getting worked like this? If Clay can just limit the walks, he's pretty much a lock to give you 6 quality innings almost every time out there. But walks will continue to be the detriment not only for Clay, but also for the New York Mets in general when they want stability with their rotation. And hopefully, again, not make it as taxing for the bullpen, because they're constantly getting overworked when you have starters not even going a full 6 innings. So while Clay did not go a full 6 today, it was nice to see him settle in and rebound after what was a shaky first couple innings when utilizing those exact pitches. Let's see. Wardy, did you get the Soto tee as well? There were 3 items. Dave, I got the hoodie and I got the shirt. I did not get a tee today, but I will make sure when I go back, I'll go back to the P.O. box tomorrow and make sure I did not miss anything, because maybe I did. I went there late and they just handed me what they had at the moment, but there's a solid chance that maybe there's one more thing waiting there for me. So I'll go back and double check and we'll reconvene then, my friend. Thank you so much again for sending everything my way. Phil's got tattooed today. They got tattooed. Why? Because who was pitching? It was Taijuan Walker. I mean, that's why, guys. It's one thing to see Jesus Luzardo get his tit slit by guys like Brandon Nimmo and Andrew McCutchen, which was awesome to see yesterday. It's another to see Taijuan Walker, who should not be a starter in today's game, having to be a starter for the Phillies to begin the season due to Zach Wheeler working himself back especially, and Buddy's just absolutely cooked. It's nothing personal against Ty. I love Ty's tacos when he was on the New York Mets and all that fun stuff, but Taijuan Walker is not a starter in Major League Baseball, okay? And until he makes the fine-tune adjustments to make his game better, he will be nothing but a liability for any team that has him in their rotation. So to see the Phillies get worked the way that they did today was not surprising. And we also saw a matchup today between Mr. Brandon Nimmo and Pete Alonso with the Rangers and the Orioles today. And between the two, who stepped up, guys? Yeah, you guessed it. It's going to be Brandon Nimmo. Alonso did have 1 hit today that we saw, but Brandon Nimmo was great in the leadoff spot. He's been off to a roaring hot start for the Texas Rangers. He went 2 for 5 with 2 runs scored and an RBI. So Nimmo's doing his thing. I saw he had that big bomb against the Phillies yesterday too. Trust me, I miss Brandon dearly. I really do, and I will always have a soft spot for Alonso, but I do not miss them being New York Mets, if that makes sense. I'm really happy and already comfortable with the type of lineup the Mets were able to build under David Stearns. And while it's going to have trials and tribulations just like any other team, there's a confidence and an it factor with this kind of Mets lineup 1 through 9 that should have you with a level of instilled and confidence that this is going to be a team that is going to be able to be clutch, is going to be able to step up, and is going to be able to be a difference maker late in a ball game in ways that they simply couldn't fathom last year. You know, that same core that the Mets had with Nimmo, Lindor, Alonso, Soto, McNeil got them nowhere beyond the ninth, getting into the ninth inning and onward when trailing by at least a run the ball game. I mean, to be 0-70, if not worse, entering the ninth inning, trailing at least a run is nothing short of pathetic. And that is a team that we hope to never see again. So I'm excited to see for the New York Mets the position they put themselves in. Now what I want to see more of is, A, you got to secure the series victory tomorrow, right? You got Kodai Senga towing the rubber. You should be securing the series dub. Senga, if he's pumping the gas the way that he was this spring, getting the swing and miss on a ghost fork day, he's not hanging in the zone as getting guys to bite out of the zone. I think Kodai Senga is going to be a big problem for the Cardinals tomorrow, honestly. I think this young and experienced lineup is going to pounce on a lot of pitches out of the zone by Senga. I think Kodai is going to have a similar line to what we saw Clay Holmes today, but potentially with a higher strikeout rate of, I think Kodai Senga is going to get 8 strikeouts tomorrow. I think he's going to have a really good start for the Mets, barring changes. And hopefully if the bats can do their thing like they have, we should be pretty happy about facing the Andre Pallant, who is, you could argue, the worst starter in this Cardinals rotation at a 5.3 ERA last year across 30-plus starts. So a very susceptible pitcher for the Mets to pounce on before you get set for the day game, which might be the biggest issue for the Mets against Matthew Liberatore, who is a crafty southpaw who looked really good in the opening day matchup for the Cardinals against the Tampa Bay Rays. So that is a nice little preview and a look in as to what we're hoping over the next couple days. But in the meantime, everybody, let's now answer your comments, questions, and concerns. What do you guys have for me question-wise to get into? Let's break that all down now in the live chat. So to all of our replay viewers, let us know your thoughts in here, all your immediate reactions and analysis to the Mets taking game 1 of the 3-game set in St. Louis by a final score of 4-2. And hey, if there's anything that's a positive from today's game, it's the fact that the Mets won on the road. The Mets finished last season just about 13 games below 500 on the road, and were 13 games below 500 in general from mid-June onward last year with their record. They were absolutely feeble, and guys like Francisco Lindor in particular were nowhere to be seen on the road. Lindor had a just over 600 OPS on the road last year. He was pathetic. Brett Beatty had an OPS sub 600 for the majority of last season on the road. Both those guys were able to be productive to varying degrees for the Mets on the road today, and that is a great sign, and hopefully a continuation of what's to come in the number of days. So let's get to those comments, questions, and concerns. But everyone watch on replay, this is where we'll be cutting things off. Let's go Mets, baby. Peace out.